Hello and welcome to this virtual workshop. Virtual workshops are essentially a lecture, and we would love to just help and inform individuals on specific topics so that way they can optimize their health and wellness. Today's topic is going to be all about vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. Now, just a little background of importance, vitamin D is one of the 4 fat-soluble vitamins. That means it is actually stored in the fat within your body. So it is something that over time we have to make sure and in consideration how much storage of vitamin D does your body hold. And now it does wane because in most cases, when the winter months hit, that storage level drops significantly. But moving on here, vitamin D is responsible for gut absorption for calcium and magnesium. It is commonly known as the vitamin that is there to make strong bones. But when it's in its active form, which we'll jump into, it has an overall positive effect on multiple systems in the body. Common deficiencies do relate to, again, bone health and osteoporosis. There is a connection with deficiency and prostate cancer, colon cancers, and other malignancies and tumors. There is a strong connection as well to autoimmune disease when in combination with a Western diet. So it is one of the more important vitamins that we need to talk about. So how it works. Now, vitamin D, naturally, we can actually stimulate from the sun's rays. So sunlight will actually utilize its UVB rays, and just underneath the skin, you do actually have a precursor to vitamin D sitting, waiting for stimulation. That stimulation then allows vitamin D to then become D3, which is now an active form that can be shuttled. It gets shuttled into the liver to create D2. From the liver, it goes to the kidney, and it creates its most potent active vitamin D that now can be used across the body. So you do not need to know any of the steps, but you do need to know that you can get it from multiple sources. Diet, but most importantly and most powerful, is actually sunlight. That is why vitamin D is the sunshine vitamin. As I mentioned, it does have an overall positive effect across the body. Vitamin D is strongly connected with reducing symptoms associated with MS. It does help improve lung function and has a connection affecting those with COPD or CF. Again, we mentioned before, it does have effect on other malignancies, considering prostate cancer as well. So, and it is definitely something that when we look at vitamin D, when it's in its active form, again, because it's fat soluble, it does act and is similar to a hormone in the body. That being, when you have low levels, you kind of feel off. You don't feel great. Maybe you're irritable. But usually when you have good levels of vitamin D, that's when your mood starts to improve and you feel an overall increased well-being and overall improvement in life as well. Now, when we talk about deficiency, it isn't rare. It's unfortunate, but this study just observed here in 2020, published in 2020, did observe vitamin D deficiency worldwide. And I pulled out the numbers that have to do with our local or U.S. Population. I imagine these numbers are very different for the Midwest, just because the very little sunshine that we do get year round. But across the U.S., about 24% of the U.S. population is actually vitamin D deficient. And when we looked at the process of how vitamin D becomes in its active form and how it has to pass through the liver and the kidney to become its most ultimate and potent form, individuals with a past health history of kidney disease and liver disease actually are at a higher risk of deficiency, where they observed anywhere from 85 to 99% of those individuals are deficient in vitamin D. But now severe deficiencies, really, really bad. 5.9% of the US. So again, just think about simple math. That's 1 in every 20 people are walking around with severe deficiencies, which puts them at an increased risk for a number of diseases that we have previously mentioned. So it's definitely something where it is much more widespread than you'd imagine. Again, about 24% or 1 in 4 people are deficient in this very powerful fat-soluble vitamin that you can just get from sunshine. But the Midwest is a challenge. Midwest, we don't see a whole lot of sunshine, especially in the winter months. Now, for a virtual workshop code, if you are doing this to get credit for one of our month-long internal promotions and challenges, please utilize the description or the comment box below. There should be a tab or a link in there that's going to encourage you to then jump to a landing page to get credit for this, because we want to make sure that we're providing education to you, and we want to make sure we're providing value to you. So your virtual workshop code is Sunshine. So within that box, put in your information. There should be a referral code. Your referral code and your workshop code is Sunshine. Moving along here. Another important factor as well, as we talked about, as I previously mentioned, is that vitamin D does act as a hormone. I mean, it can do a lot with the body. What we've recently noticed too, and this is just in this past 10 years, vitamin D actually modulates and makes sure that your immune system is functioning at its most potent and powerful. So vitamin D, and this observation, vitamin D targets immune cells to modulate or to grow and differentiate both different types of innate and adaptive immune cells. Innate are cells that just in your body, they know what to do. And adaptive are individuals that if you get sick, they're able to adjust and be able to attenuate to whatever virus came into your body. So that way it's able to become a better defender against it if it runs into it in the future. So vitamin D helps with both of those forms of your immune response. In return, your immune cells, and this is the cool part, will actually secrete a vitamin D activating enzyme, allowing that conversion from that inactive form of vitamin D to help with the process to create active vitamin D. So it's like, best way I can describe it is, you have your brothers, you have your sisters, you have your friends. Well, this essentially is like everyone coming together and everyone's getting along and you're just having a good time. That's the best way I can describe it, is vitamin D is helping your immune cells and your immune cells is helping vitamin D. So again, it does play a vital role in maintaining just the homeostasis, just to keep everything at a good balance. So where your body is ready to fight and to stay in good health in the event that if you were to come into an invader, again, most common are viruses or infections. Now, there is a link between inadequate or low vitamin D levels. There is a higher susceptibility of immune-mediated disorders. So this being chronic infections and autoimmune disease. So you need vitamin D in your body. It's not just for bones. It is for total and overall immune health as well. Now, there's always questions about, well, which supplement is right? Now, there are 4 things out there in the market that I've seen, 3 typically. And this is just how I grade it, just based off of, well, what's going to have a better bioavailability, that being absorption in your body, and what's going to be better utilized in your body. So if you see just a simple vitamin D, it's not awesome. Okay, it is in its lowest form. And in most cases, not all, the vitamin D, when it's getting shuttled around into your body, would love to try and get it to your liver. But along the pathway, that vitamin D can be deposited into the arteries. And that's where you're going to run into atherosclerosis or calcium deposits in the arteries itself. So vitamin D as itself, not awesome. Okay. Vitamin D2, that is a form that you can actually get from your diet that goes directly into the liver. That's okay. There's plenty of foods out there that are either fortified in it or it's actually supporting, or it's available in it. Most of that you're going to see in your vegetables. But vitamin D, yeah, absolutely. You can get it through your diet there. Vitamin D3, same thing. You can get it through your diet. You can also get it through supplementation. Vitamin D3 as itself is okay too. When you take a next step up, when you add K2, and that's vitamin D3 with vitamin K2, that is actually the best form of supplementation we can find, because that K2 receptor will help shuttle that active form of ingesting vitamin D3 and bring it to the liver, so that way it can be processed then through the kidneys and then create it again in its most potent and powerful form through the body. But the absolute best, hands down, nobody can really argue against it, nor should they, because there's plenty of evidence on it, that vitamin Sunshine is the absolute best. So what's the right amount though that we should be considering? And I'll jump into, what the right amount of Sunshine is in a little bit here. When we look at supplementation, I actually encourage individuals and my patient base to supplement during the winter months. Okay, so and we want to supplement at a level of 1,000 IUs per 40 pounds per day. There are plenty of research that low levels, as we talked about, a deficiency of vitamin D can cause concerns, but now there's the flip side. Too much of it can cause concerns as well. So there is a max cap of safety, so that way we're not creating toxicity, and that's not exceeding 5,000 IUs in a day. And again, this is for the winter months. When the summer hits, I actually tell people to get off of it. You should be able to get enough and plenty of it through sunshine. But when we talk about what foods are most potent or have enough of the active form that we're looking for, it's going to be, oddly enough, it's pretty low amounts to say it. So 3 ounces of salmon is going to get you about 500 to 750 IU. Again, this is wild salmon. Farmed salmon is just a little bit different just because of the corn and seed that they eat. Their fat is just not as good as if we were to get it fresh caught or fresh salmon or wild salmon. So 3 ounces of salmon gives us about 500 to 750 IUs. 3 ounces of sardines is 175. 3 ounces of tuna, looking at 250. And even one large egg yolk is 35. So I hate to say it's, when we look at our food, there's just not enough in there. There just isn't enough to be able to get what our body needs on a daily basis. So supplementation during the winter months, it becomes, at many points a necessity, because I hate to say it, I don't know anybody who's eating 21 ounces of salmon in order to be able to hit their 3,000 to 4,000 IUs a day. That's a lot of salmon. Now, is it expensive? But I don't know if I could, personally, I don't know if I could eat that much salmon every single day. So supplementation is something that we absolutely have to look for in the Midwest, specifically in Minnesota, absolutely in Minnesota, during the winter months. And that key time, I do tell people late spring, when the summer sun starts to come out, when it's easier to get outside and move around and be able to expose skin to stimulate, again, using the sun's UVB rays to stimulate vitamin D. That's when you should stop. Don't supplement. Just go outside. You'll get plenty of it. But then start your supplementation again. The perfect window, or the ideal window, not perfect, is from Thanksgiving to Easter. Okay, that's about the same time that's where we get a lot of cloudiness, just the sun's not out and it's cold. It gets really cold between those time periods. So as I mentioned, how much time in the sun? So best evidence and research, this article is from, I think it was from 2019. Go outside, absorb the sun's rays during peak time. So your peak time is between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So it's definitely something that within that time period, that's when the sun is at its most powerful, that being the UV and UVB rays as well. But your time exposure is as little as 10 to 30 minutes. Okay, so it's a very small amount of time. It's a small window of time. But we would love to do that dose several times a week. Now, that doesn't mean every single day of the week, even though it is encouraged. Being outside provides a lot of therapeutic benefits, but being as little as 10 to 30 minutes a day, on average, a majority of the day of the week. So that being, if it's 5 out of the 7, perfect, 4 out of the 7, great. But definitely something you got to get out there, because within that time period, it's similar to consuming 10,000 to 20,000 IUs. So it's definitely something that, just being outside, it is the most powerful thing. Your body's really smart. It'll keep you at homeostasis. It'll make sure everything is balanced out. But be mindful of skin exposure. Everybody's skin is just a little bit different. The more melanin in the skin, the more time is going to be needed. That being because melanin essentially acts like a little blocker to make sure those UVB rays don't push as deep or as able to get into that area that is hitting that form of vitamin D that's waiting to be stimulated. But if there's less melanin, essentially those are less little blockers out there that are protecting the area. You're probably at a higher susceptibility to sunburns. So you might be on the other end of the scale, close to that 10-minute period, in order to be able to stimulate vitamin D without causing skin or sunburns. So I hope you guys learned something really special, that being just about vitamin D and the power it has. More just about that supplementation should be considered during the winter. There's a very strong connection between your immune system modulation, its growth and differentiation with vitamin D, and how your immune system then continues to help vitamin D in its support. There's plenty of evidence that deficiency in this fat-soluble vitamin is connected with chronic infections and autoimmune disease. And vitamin D is best from the sun. So make sure that when we hit the summer months, get outside as much as you can, absorb as much as you can. My name is Dr. Greg Beenken. I am a chiropractor in Maple Grove. Ultimately, these virtual workshops are for you, and hopefully you are learning something to optimize your health and wellness. If you have any questions for me, my contact information is available. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I would love to connect with you today. And as a reminder, your virtual workshop code, if you've already forgotten, is Sunshine. So hit the description and the link in the description below, and let's get credit for you. So that way you can make sure that you are staying on top of this month's giveaway. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your night or day.